A nation and a commonwealth that has lost their monarch. We remember the late Queen Elizabeth II. It's a great shame that she is no longer with us, and as we are sure of the impact she has had on many lives. 70 years on the throne can be nothing but respected, and it is of course with the deepest sorrow that we find ourselves in this position. With that said, we thank all of those who observe the 2-minute silence with us, drivers, commentators and viewers alike. In a week of heartbreak for many millions around the world, it seems fitting that JACKOCAR should race at the home of motorsport. Queen Elizabeth II was in attendance here at the very first Formula One race held in 1950, and just like Nino Farina on that day, we'll try our very best to honour the late Queen in the only way that we know how, and that is, of course, by racing. As ever, it's Thursday night, it's JACKOCAR, and it's live from Silverstone. The stage points tonight are on laps 7 and 13, two jokers in the form of Tez Peakstock and Gareth Hall, and just the one change on the roster, which is Kyle Langstone in for Sullivan Lewis. It's round 5 of season 6 and race 88 of the Cup Series as we continue to count down to race 100 later in the season. And finally, you've waited long enough to hear his voice. It's your lead commentator for the evening, Owen Wyatt.
Lovely stuff, Jacko. Lovely tribute. And hello to all of the viewers. I am still here. I'm sure some of you thought I might run off again, but I am here. We are ready for the British Grand Prix. What a track to be at. We love this place. JACKOCAR loves this place and absolutely looking forward to what should be a very exciting race tonight. A couple of weeks off, the drivers will be itching to get back into it, I reckon. And as soon as we get some drivers out on the track, we'll see what we'll be looking at. Although we have been here for nearly 3 minutes, Jacko, and I'm starting to wonder if there's issues already.
There may well be. Is it? Apparently we're waiting for Gareth and Kaya to select tyres, I don't know.
Well, Kaya's just left the session, so hopefully he'll be able to get back in. Jess is telling us to leave and rejoin. She tends to know what's happening with these sorts of issues. Of course, unfortunately what this is doing, it means that our timer is going to be completely inaccurate to what the drivers will see, but as far as I can tell, as long as they get into the lobby, we should be okay. I think they're coming into the lobby now, so yes, we will be getting going shortly, but as is typical of Codemasters, nothing ever seems to want to go to plan.
Big build up like that, and then that all happens, doesn't it? What a great shame.
I suppose it does give us a good chance, though, to quickly take you through the season so far, because, of course, we have been on a break, and you may not know what's happening. You'll have seen the timer has reset, so we will be getting underway shortly, but the main thing you need to know, 4 drivers already advanced into the playoffs, 4 different winners this season. Ben Shaw, Cass McLean, Jamie Wright, and Jaco Sullivan, our reigning champion, already through, so that's very nice to see, especially after how bad a start he had last season. He won the last race in Saudi Arabia, and yeah, I can't wait to see how we're going tonight. I have a feeling we'll be looking at a Christian Hataro victory tonight. He's the highest driver in the standings, yet to win a race, so will this be his night? We've been hyping him up for so long.
We have indeed, and surely it is coming, and if it's not Esty, is it possibly Jordan or maybe another first timer? We see in VSL on Wednesday nights that Gareth has actually won 4 of the first 6 races over there. Tez is very fast as well. Maybe Connor will get his moment in the sun tonight, but to tell you what, Owen, I would quite like to keep this this run of new winners every race keeping going. We've had 4 from 4 so far. Surely a 5th one tonight. Corey actually is putting his name out there as a potential race winner, but who knows?
It'll be good to see actually Gareth win the race, because he is, of course, yet to win in JACKOCAR. He's on the Joker tonight, so if we ever get anyone out on track to qualify, it could be someone that we'll be keeping our eye on, but I'm assuming everything's still working because no one in the chat is panicking. We're just sort of sitting here in limbo looking at a dead pit lane. It's a very odd situation, this.
Tez is on a qualifying ban, so Corey should be out now.
Yeah.
Maybe Tez has forgot to come out, but after Corey it'll be Kaya, who I don't believe is in the lobby, and then after that it's Leroy, so apparently Kaya's back in.
Here comes Corey, so he's on his way out of the pits now, so it took us a while, but we are getting our first car out onto the racetrack.
We will assume nothing is wrong then, and this is it for the evening. Like I said earlier, the only change tonight is Kaya, who is in for Risky, but the other 19 drivers, they are full-timers, and this man He needs to score a point. Four races in, 2 DNFs and 2 disqualifications. Corey Dalton at home, can he make it happen as he begins his outlap?
It feels a very similar start to what we've seen from him in the past with his inconsistency, but the thing is, when you get him on form, he will dominate a race. We watched him win from last place on the grid. I think definitely in Baku. I swear it happened again at another point, possibly even the likes of Monza and that tracks like that. He will make a result happen out of nowhere, so he can definitely surprise us, let's say. And on a track like this, again, I'd be fancying his chances tonight, but he's got to make sure he gets that qualifying lap right. Obviously, he's got no benchmark to work on since T says a qualifying ban didn't come out anyway, so he'll be setting the pace for everyone. And I hope he can do well. Let's see how he gets on. Interesting colours and livery as well, I must say. It looks a bit like a cardboard box, doesn't it? It's a bit of an odd one, but it'll stand out.
Creamy black. It's a scheme we've not seen before. I was just going to add to you though, Owen, he's not helped by this early qualifying slot that he's got, the 16-15 slot. But if anyone can make it happen, surely it's Corey. We look back to Austria season 3, he needed a race when he went and got it, but can he deliver at home tonight? Take us for a lap, Owen Wyatt.
So, cross the start finish line. Turn 1 here is deceptively difficult because if you ascend it too far to the inside, you'll lose the rears and not be able to make it round. Corey, a little bit of lift off, but he got himself through, okay? Into farm in the loop section now. This is my favourite part of the track actually because it sets up so much of the racing, especially through the loop. Get a good exit for here, you'll be on for a proper side-by-side fight for the rest of the lap, so look out for that in the race as Corey activates DRS for the first time, and we come to the end of the first sector, and Corey does a 27.5. I'm going to be interested to see what the lines are for here, because so many drivers try different things. Corey sticks to the inside early and then goes out wide to cut back in. I imagine we'll see a couple try their outside the whole way rather than cutting inside early, so we'll see what they try as Corey heads up towards the... It's pretty much more infamous at this point, isn't it? Cops Corner. So many things happen around here. Not fully flat anymore. It used to be flat on the F1 games, but obviously with the cars being naturally less good with downforce, there's a little lift. I find Magnus Becker's Chapel a little bit easier though on this year's game. Perhaps the slower speed as you head into it makes it a bit easier to predict what's going to happen as Corey heads up for another boost of the DRS and through to the last section. Now, it's so easy to get a lap wrong through the last chicane because the throttle, you've got to be so careful on it, and you can drift easily wide onto the orange curve. And you can see Corey, a little snap, nearly ended up on it, but as he crosses the line, it's going to be a 1 minute 27.6.
And I think we had a few drivers threatening 25s and 26s in the chat earlier. We'll see who's money where their mouth is later on. I think, Owen, a few of your uni friends are actually in the chat, so welcome to those new viewers at JACKOCAR. We love that. As we look to Kaya in his second start in the Cup Series, last time out in Abu Dhabi, as he approaches Maggots and Beckett's in a burgundy sort of chocolate car, and he's going to have a spin here, is Kaya. I wonder if he can keep the lap valid, because there are 4 drivers who can't set a lap, remember. They are Tez, Jess, Kieran and MK Bourne. So Kaya could still get a P16 on the grid, which should be his best qualifying.
He's got to remember
Depends
that.
Which way.
He's got to remember, because it's so easy when you go off like this to give up on it entirely, but you got to finish your lap. So with those 4 qualifying bands, you're absolutely right. He's got to get this through, and the fact is, he starts high up on the leaderboard as well, so any invalidations behind him, he may end up okay. So it looks like he will finish the lap though, so it's good that he's remembered that.
Good for him. Right behind him on track actually is Leroy in a sort of Mercedes sort of looking car. Of course, drivers at JACKOCAR can use what they want. It is player livery, open decoration, do what you want with it. Leroy to the line, and it is P2. Kaya went P3, by the way, 148 with that spin. Next up is MK Bourne, who is on the qualifying ban, so your next flying lap should be Michael O'Kk. Yeah,
and he's just preparing for his lap now. Quite liking the colours on OKK's car, a bit different to what we would normally see from him, I think, but it suits him. I like it. As he crosses the line to start his lap, hopefully we'll like the lap time at the end of it as well. As he heads through Tram 1 again. Yeah, they're definitely lifting the throttle a little bit through there, so I'll be wondering who's going to be more committed throughout the lap. I suppose you'll see it more towards your likes of your Ben Shaws, your Christian Attars, the likes of that, but for now, a lot of people being just relatively cautious, and an interesting strategy.
And maybe OKK doesn't have full confidence in the setup or the car, but he is a driver, Owen, slowly but surely finding form once again. I mean, if you can call finding form racing me for the lead on Tuesday night, but he was racing really well. Unfortunate with a spin on the restart, but maybe OKK's time is coming. We've not seen him on the podium for some time, as he appears to be flat through Copse Corner. Keeps it valid, nice to see. We say it every week though. OKK very, very popular in the league.
He is indeed. He must be one of the most, if not the very most popular driver in the league. He's been here from the very start. He won the very first race, didn't he, as well? So he's got a lot of history in this league. As he heads through to the final section of this track, can he get himself hopefully onto the front for now? And we'll see where he goes from there. I mean, he was racing the big Jacko for the lead on Tuesday. Who knows what he's going to be capable of as he heads through to see the finish line. Again, they're all avoiding that orange curb on the exit of the club chicane, which is good to see, because I've got caught on there a couple of times and it does end pretty badly for you. So Corey still stays top, half a second clear of OKK. And what have you seen? Not Pete.
Pete not invalidating another British scheme. He does. He always brings out a patriotic scheme for the British Grand Prix when JACKOCAR comes to town, but it is an invalidation for the Season 1 champion. What a shame for Pete. One of, I think, about 13 home drivers we've got on the grid. I'll come back with a correct stat in a second as we move to Connor Byers, another home driver.
Wonder how long we're going to be looking at Pete saying only the Season 1 champion. I wonder if he's getting a bit annoyed at that yet. It feels like we're always talking about what he used to do. I'm hoping one day we'll see him back at the front. We're not going to be seeing Connor at the front with a qualifying like this, though. He is invalid as well.
Yeah. And just to come back to you, by the way, it is 13 English drivers and 1 Welsh driver calling this their home Grand Prix today. As Connor, like you say, invalidates. Next up is Kieran on a qualifying ban.
He's already retired.
He's already retired. So Jake O'Sullivan, last winner then from Saudi Arabia 2 weeks ago.
What a turnaround he's had in JACKOCAR. I mean, I'll keep saying it. He must have one of the most remarkable sort of JACKOCAR careers, let's say, so far, because he was always the what-if driver. And what if he got through to the playoffs? What if he got through to Challenger 5 in his first attempt? It was always about when he unlocked that potential, what could he possibly do? And well, he's won 2 races now in JACKOCAR. He is the reigning champion. And so a lot we will be expecting from him for the rest of the season. And the good thing is for him now, he has that grace period now where he doesn't have to put himself under any pressure. Last season there was all that with the getting through with the playoff system and especially with the chase. But now we can see a relaxed Jake could become quite the threat, I reckon. He could be properly quick.
Could indeed. Of course, I think Monaco's Season 4 plays on his mind a bit, where he just missed out on Championship 5 by, I think it was 2 points, wasn't it? And you know, he thought he could have gone to Austin and won that championship. It wasn't to be. Comes back next season, he doesn't score in the first 6 races. One of the worst start of any JACKOCAR driver ever, Cup and Kia Series. Wins the chase, wins a championship, and then doesn't race for the first 3 races of this season. Comes back to Saudi Arabia, the only driver to have 2 consecutive races at the same track. Wins them both. And then we go on a 2-week break. Jake O'Sullivan coming around to complete his flying lap of Silverstone. As you say, Owen, one of those who could well be a threat. Not helped out by a very good qualifying time for now, but already in the playoffs as Jake comes to the line and sets a new provisional pole lap.
Only 5 times on the board and we're already halfway through the list. Next up is Ben Harrett. And he's also invalidated, so he is not going to be adding his name to the list of valid lap times. This could be a day we see some shock results because, yeah, I'm surprised how many aren't making it work. I know we have 3 quali bans in there as well, but 3 invalidations as well. So I'm surprised by that, especially with the 2 weeks break they've had. Have they not been practicing? Have they been slacking on us?
Should be no excuse, unless of course you've been on holiday like me. As attention turns to Yori with there's another one.
Yep.
The difference is though, Yori has that number 2 on his car, which means he will have the best start out of those who don't set a lap time. You'll like this, Owen. Next up, Jess Ball, qualifying ban.
Yeah.
But we'll quickly touch on Jess before we move to Jamie Griffiths, the Welshman, Tuesday night race winner in the Kia Series. The first female to do it in 127 races, and the 38th winner in JACKOCAR. What a night it was for Jess, who has already retired from the session, of course. But yeah, great stuff to see from Jess.
Yeah, she's come a long way from the infamy of Baku, hasn't she? So that's good to see. A race winner, and obviously she's sitting pretty for the playoffs as well. And racing in the Cup Series will obviously help there as well. So could we see our first female champion? And I guess you'll want to tune into both tiers in JACKOCAR this season. Not that you weren't already, of course. As we watch Jamie then, heading through. And I'm liking the colours on his car for some reason. I really shouldn't. But the blue and the purple, a little bit of red at the back, it's quite nice, I think, as he heads through entry and onto the Wellington Straight. And let's see how he's doing, because we're expecting this really to be pretty competitive. He's already 2/10 down on Corey's time, and we know that Jake was even quicker than that. So Jake's time is looking pretty competitive, as struggling to get on the throttle there. Out of Luffield was Jamie, and that is something, like I say, that corner will be the most interesting one tonight, I reckon.
Yeah, I agree. This one as well. Copse Corner, of course, it's famous for claiming a few races here and there. I myself have been there that inside wall a few times. I'm sure you have as well, Owen.
Yep.
As we watch Jamie through Chapel Corner and down the back straight here at Silverstone. The Hangar Straight, I should say, as we approach Stowe Corner. Of course, this layout has been used since 2010, I believe. Has a little moment on the exit of Stowe, does Jamie Griffiths, and into this final braking zone. Gets it hooked up nicely, 2 to go, and then one more corner to go. This sweeping flat right-hander up to the line, Jamie Griffiths. It's P3, it's a decent lap, but I imagine it will be beaten as we look at Jordan next.
He's cruising, Jacko. He is cruising. So that might not be the quickest lap we'll ever see, but he's keeping it all valid. I guess maybe if he was being a bit cautious through Magnus Beckett's, he certainly could have gone a little bit quicker, but we'll forgive it for the colour scheme, of course. Still the best colour scheme on the grid. No offence to anybody else, but you can't beat my colours, basically. They're my colours. He's actually taking my colours off me.
It's a shame Risky's not here, because his car in Saudi Arabia was beautiful, as Jordan goes 5th.
It was, actually, to be fair.
Yeah. Gareth next.
Joker, of course, and invalid. And what a shame that is.
So he will start 19th as well then. For the man who is 5th in the point standings. Of course, the points have very little relevance as we get into the later part of the season. Those that have qualified to the playoffs already can relax.
Jamie's also invalidated. He's only through turn 1.
Wow.
We are seeing an incredible amount of drivers making errors at the moment. We are only going to have, at the most, 10 drivers qualify. I don't think we've ever seen it this low.
I don't think we have. Jamie, by the way, running all black in memory of Queen Elizabeth II. He did ask if he could change his number, and I said no, rules are rules, but black livery, black helmet is certainly paying his tribute to the late Queen. But yeah, Casper will be next then. He hasn't invalidated, but then again, he's not even on his flying lap yet. Or is he? I think he is, sorry.
Just at the end of Sector 1, Jacko. 27.7, so he's on pace with Jamie at the moment, as he heads through Luffield once again. And you can see, that's what I'm saying, he's hiding it more sort of around the outside, whereas we saw definitely with Corey where he cut in towards the exit. And Casper heading towards Copse Corner now. How is the commitment going to be through here? He's right up towards the grass, you can see, but a big lift and still goes a little bit wide. He won't have been happy with that. But let's see if he can recover it as he heads through. Yellow flags in front, that's just for cars retiring in the pits. Keeping it all pointing in the right direction through Magnus Beckett's and Chapel, but not through!
What a moment!
How has he kept that one in a straight line? I have no idea. And it's just as I was saying as well, I completely jinxed him. So, understandably, taking it a little bit easier through Stowe, because he needs to be aware of how many people have made mistakes and not got the lap on the board. At worst, you'll end up 7th as of right now. So here comes Casper, and he crosses the line in 6th place. So he still beats Leroy despite that error. Now, SD Mats, no pressure, but you've got my number, and we all are sort of waiting for the first win. I think he is next in line, I'd say, for a first victory. It was always going to be Jake before, and obviously he's achieved that now. So SD Mats, Mr. Consistent. Let's see what you can do.
There has been this sort of list where we've been gradually ticking them off, isn't it? Kieran and Jake, as you say, Esty rightfully next to take a win. Surely Cam also was on that list at one point. He won here last season. Bit of curve from Esty that keeps it on the dark grey patch, the racing surface. Only one man out after Esty Mats, that's Ben Shaw. Can he take pole on his home track? We'll find out in a few seconds time. But Esty Mats into Stowe corner, Christian Hataro that is, in the 15 car. Is it going to be his night? Owen Wyatt.
We've seen first time pole sitters here before. I distinctly remember Riley's reaction when he got his. This track makes things happen. Here comes Esty. It's so close, not that 6,
wow.
but he misses out. And so it's all left down to Mr. Qualifying himself. Speed Iceman, Ben Shaw. We know what this guy's capable of. Will he wipe the floor or will he go wide? He keeps it valid, but that was not the best run and it's not up there. So Jake, who won the last 2 races he entered, is he going to find himself on pole tonight? He's going to need a properly good last sector here, is Ben. He's got to keep within the track limits. He's really pushing it as he comes through into the Vale chicane and then club corner. Got to keep it on the traction. Don't lose the rear end now. Checkered flag is out and Iceman is not on pole. It's going to be Jake. Iceman only 4th then. That feels like a sharp qualifying. That is Jake on pole.
It is a shock qualifying. Iceman for the first time this season hasn't qualified second. But Jake, with his 2nd pole position of his career, his first this season, but of course Russia season 4 he was last on pole, and now Britain season 6 of the champion. It's been a good return since missing the first 3 races of season 6. Can the champion deliver on home soil? Esty Mats will start P2, and the Corey, we shall call him, who needs points, starts alongside Iceman, who still hasn't had a pole position, Owen. And that is a shock. Jamie Griffiths completes the top 5. Very, very mixed up qualifying.
Yes, we are in for a properly good race. I'm seeing Jamie and I'm seeing Kieran right in the middle of that sort of bottom 10, and they will have some excitement on the start, I would say. Because the lowest, that turn 1 as well for those guys. We could lose some big runners early on. I'm hoping for no big pile-ups this time, of course. We got 2 of those, and technically we've had 3 this season actually, so these guys have got precedence for it, but let's not think too much about it. Let's quickly run you through the qualifying order. So it is Jake on pole then. Will he make it 3 wins in a row? Esty Mats right alongside him. He wants his first win of his entire career. Corey needs a win this season. He needs to get himself on form. And Iceman, when's he ever going to qualify on pole again? Jamie 5th, OKK 6th, Jordan 7th, Casper 8th, Leroy 9th and Kaya 10th. Only 10 qualifiers. The rest, Jury, Jess, Jamie, MK Bourne, Kieran, Ben, Pete, Connor, Gareth and Tees all failed to qualify.
Pete, by the way, is the lowest previous race winner on this grid. That was he starts P17, but best ever qualifyings for Kaya, who starts P10, and Esty Mats, who starts P2. Remember, folks, there is no formation lap. The stage points are lap 7 and lap 13. The 2 jokers of Tez Peakstock and Gareth Hall. It's Silverstone. Owen Wyatt. We're back here for round 5 as ever. The Cup Series on a Thursday night. Where else would you want to be? We'll be underway in just a little while.
It's good to be home. Can't wait for this one. I really do think that run to turn 1, especially with no tyre warm-up as well, we could see quite a lot of upsets here. Especially even through that whole first lap. So many full send corners. And yeah, I'm expecting a shock winner tonight. Maybe not a shock winner, but definitely a first time winner. I'm calling it. If it's not Esty Mats, someone's going to come through there. That Joker I'm still looking at for Gareth. This is probably one of the best tracks to have it on, him and Tees, because it's such an easy one stop around here. Everyone else is going to have to do 2, and especially with the cold tyres and stuff like that at the start, could see safety cars that could really mess strategy up. So let's see how we get going. We'll see the timer hopefully pop up on the screen at some point soon, hoping we don't have any more delays like we did in qualifying, because I just want to get this thing underway.
The previous 3 winners here are Cam, Arnold and Corey last season. We've also seen Khalifa and Kyle and Jamie Wright win this race. We don't often get repeat winners here, so if you follow Owen's advice, putting your money on someone who either hasn't won this season or hasn't ever won in JACKOCAR would probably be a very good bet. 15 seconds then until lights out. Oh, and it's almost time for those famous little words.
They are indeed famous, but I wouldn't say very little. I'd give them a lot of oomph as we get ready, and I'm very excited for this. Who's going to be at the lead of this race by the end of lap 1? I really couldn't tell you. A lot of them on softs. We have 5 red lights. And boogity boogity boogity, let's go racing in Silverstone. Jake gets off the line really well. He should be okay through turn 1. A bit more side by side behind. Corey did not get off the line very well, but he's got to try and make that back up. There's a car off already. I think that was Leroy. He's in the gravel shop, but should be able to keep going. As we see side by side, ST Mats and Corey. And oh no, a lot of contact and surely a safety car for that. Tease, one of the Joker drivers already out. I think we do have a safety car. Just more to point out, Jamie up to second, really good start from him, and Jordan black flagged, trying to get himself back in contention, having been spun round, but it all went off then into turn 3 of all places. I was expecting more sort of turn 1 and 2, perhaps a bit of legacy from people being loose through there, but 2 cars down already and multiple damaged. OKK hasn't even got a front wing anymore. He started right up there in the top 6 or 7. He was way up, and I think Corey, he must have damage as well. He got turned around. Although looking at it visually, he might have survived. I don't know who tipped him round, but a lot of pit stops going to be happening. Pete no front wing, Jamie no front wing either. Gareth, he's already up to P10 on the hards on his Joker. Got to keep an eye on him as well. What else have you spotted, Jacko?
I was actually watching the Leroy crash. He got a little tag going into turn 1, and it sent him Guan Yu Zhou style almost into the barriers. And then behind that there was a bit of carnage here and there. I think you've pretty much pointed out all the front wings. It'll be interesting though to see who pits. It's a good start for Jake, who retains the lead. Jamie, good start. Esty only losing 1 position. Let's have a look at the pitters then.
Time to get the notepad out, Jacko. There's a lot of them coming in.
You leave it to me and I'll update you.
Going to be Ben in. He's Speed's on his way in as well. Kieran in. Gareth in. J-Luke in. And jeez, there's so many in. Pete in as well. Corey. So we did have damage. And yeah, I'm counting 7 cars are in the pits right now. And that's interesting from Gareth. That might not, I don't think that's for damage, or I hope it isn't anyway, because it could work strategically, but no, it is actually for damage. But it gets him off those hard compound tyres for now. Maybe with enough safety cars he could do a medium to soft or something like that. So keep your eye on him for later on in the race, because he doesn't lose much ground by doing this stop.
No, so that is Gareth throwing his Joker.
But he still can only make the one mandatory stop in the race, so he still can get some advantage from it.
Yeah, so he'll, like you say, he still has that 1 pit stop advantage, but if he were to win the race now, he would not gain the bonus playoff points along with the normal playoff points that you would get. Pete, Corey and OKK, the last 3 out the pit. It's not a good start for those guys who are all home drivers, and now at the back it's even worse for Jordan, who's disqualified, and Tez taking the pressure off of Gareth out of this race. He's not finished a race this season. He's actually had a worse start than Corey, dare I say.
Yeah, that's going to be playing on his mind a little bit now. That must be so frustrating to lose it so early as well. And we don't even know exactly what happened. It looked to me like he just got caught up in an accident he simply couldn't avoid. So much was going on. There's 2 penalties out there as well. I'm going to assume they're both for speeding because they're 5-second time penalties. That's for Ben and it's for Jamie. What an awful British Grand Prix he is having so far. Invalidated his qualifying lap by turn 1 and in the pits for damage with a penalty by the end of lap 1 of the race. So a lot of coming back to do for him.
It's worth noting as well, Iceman dropped a position off the start, so he actually lost out to Jamie and Casper there. So Casper making up for his poor qualifying. As we see more pitters at the end of lap 2.
One of which being Connor, the guy who'd made the most positions so far in the race. He's also got a penalty for his troubles. So whatever's gone on there for him, it's Kieran in as well for a second time. Interesting. Are they doing this just to burn a set of tyres? Or what's the reasoning behind a second stop? Same for Jamie as well, and for Corey. So they're all sort of getting rid of alternate sets of tyres here, because it surely can't be for damage again. Although saying that, Jamie is taking this 5-second penalty as well. That's also a good reason to pit.
Yeah, that one makes a bit of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, state of play. Jess, Tuesday's race winner in the Kia Series at Albert Park, finds herself up in 7th. Kaya with his best qualifying in Cup is now probably running in his best position in Cup ever, P8. Leroy, who was facing the wrong way at turn 1, finds himself up to 9th, and MK Bourne 10th after not qualifying. So there's no real winners anymore. The field has sort of established itself. This is what you would expect, really.
Well,
other than Jamie, Corey and Kieran down the bottom there.
all I would point out is that Yuri, 5 places up, but he's the highest driver on those medium compound tyres, so he is actually in a pretty decent spot right now to make his strategy work, because he'll have a little bit more flexibility than those soft runners around him. So keep your eye on him for later on in this race, and his brother as well. Hard to think really that he was off in turn 1, but really spinning off there, I suppose it allowed him to avoid the rest of the incident, didn't it? So maybe it's a blessing in disguise, because he's up a few places as well. And also on hard, and also on mediums, I should point out.
Away without any sort of damage then, did Leroy. Just facing the wrong way, that was the only damage. Maybe a little bit of pride.
Bit of paintwork damage. Bit of paintwork damage.
He'll be alright. So we await Corey to catch up to the queue. I can't imagine the safety car will come in this lap, it seems a bit too late. This is the last place where it could go, so yeah, we will have one more lap of this. And then I wonder if, let's just go on board with Jake here, and I wonder if Jake's been paying attention. The restart zone tonight, so you go round here, and then on your outside you'll see a sausage curb on your left, which is there, and that is the start of the restart zone. So anywhere from there, all the way up to the timing line, Jake will have control of the field, and he can go anywhere in that little portion of the track.
It's a proper tricky one, that one as well, because since you're constantly turning, the traction is going to be a lot more tricky, so you've really got to make sure you've heated those tyres up, because we could see cars round on the way to the start-finish line.
And it's so easy to do on this game. You've only got to look back to Tuesday's race in Australia, where I was actually the race leader at the time, and I did get the heat into my tyres once the safety car had confirmed it was coming in, and then OKK, who was second, just absolutely spun the rears up without even trying. And that's the difference. If you can get the heat in the tyres, you will be okay. You'll be in for a decent start. It all depends on what drivers around you do.
And I suppose that's one advantage for the guys who are still on the sauce. You might see Yuri fall back a little tad, just due to the fact that those mediums don't have as much grip, and since they've been under safety car, really since halfway round lap 1, those softs, which are of course fresh softs, the qualifying tyre doesn't matter anymore. You start whenever you want. So these are properly fresh tyres. They'll still have plenty of life in them. But surely this safety car will be in there this lap. Corey was the one car that we were waiting for, and he is quite clearly on the back of the pack. And like I say, what a shame to see him all the way down there, having had a decent qualifying. But he is one of the only drivers we know in this league who has a record of coming back from last to win a race, so never count him out.
Yeah, it is a shame, by the way, that we say Corey comes in tonight on 0 points, but even if he finishes 18th and he gets 1 point, it's not really good enough. He needs a good result. As for Tez, I'm sure he'll come back next week. He is also on 0 points, but we'll worry about that next week when I believe we go to Spain. But before that, we have a restart to get ourselves underway with. Jake leads the train of Jamie Griffiths, SD Mats, Casper and Iceman.
And like I say, this restart zone really will be very interesting, because I'm sure they're all thinking about it. Will Jake perhaps wait until he's in a straight line to keep going? There's never really a point like that apart from right before the start-finish line. And that would obviously mean a lot of people could predict when he's going to go. So he's got a lot to think about here. So let's ride on board and see when he decides to go. And he eases into it. Look, he's easing properly in, not taking any risks, as behind Jamie goes straight off the road. And that's the challenges of losing the tyre grip, as Yuri's had a really bad restart. I saw him facing the pit wall almost, and you can see he's having contact now as he heads through, and his brother's all over him. But look at that, diving up the inside. MK Bourne doing well there to get through, and it looks like Jamie is having more issues. He's fighting side by side with Corey, and Kieran's back there as well, but it is front wing damage again for Jamie. What a rubbish race he's having.
What a shame for Corey. He has made up a few positions though, and Kaya dropped from 8th to 18th, so not sure what happened there. Pete Knighton, by the way, he's gone up a few, and I think that is Ben Harrett getting past Leroy for P9. Other than Yuri's little drama as well, not much more happened. We have a spinner at the back. I think it's Connor.
Yeah, Connor off the road, and he'll have to try and recover that. I'd be looking for another safety car because that will pretty much wreck his race as it stands. A few cars struggling with Cop's corner. Gareth probably the worst offender there. He's also on mediums. I think he got hit there by OKK. Was on his inside into Maggots. He didn't see him. Is there any damage for either driver? I think they're going to get away with it. But, oh, was that Corey gone? Corey a big off. I saw a car offline. Didn't think it'd crash though, but he has. And it looks like another safety car has been deployed. And so Corey then.
Yes, it is a safety car.
0 points.
Jake Pitts.
Fifth race running now. Was Jake committed by the time he did that? If he was, then this will be a fully legal first mandatory stop. He's the only driver who I'd imagine would have been around the area. But I'm going to check back on the stream now. Let's see. It must have been close, but he wasn't committed. So this is not a mandatory stop. I don't think he was into the sort of pit lane area. He'd only just come out of Stowe. Maybe we'd have to wait for the on-board footage because we know that safety car timings are a bit different to when they show up for us and the driver. But yeah, keep your eye on that pistol because it could decide this race. But he wouldn't have gone for it if he wasn't sure he'd make it, surely, because it's a big gamble just giving up track position like that, especially for more softs. He's not even going to save those for the end of the race. He's just going to take them all now.
Yeah, I can confirm Jake was not committed, so that is a non-mandatory stop.
I suppose that might end up going to the stewards, but I just can't see why he would have pitted if he didn't think he was good for it, because it does seem a bit of a strange strategic call, but well, we'll find out how it goes later on. What it does mean is that Jamie Griffiths is the leader of the race. I don't think he's won since Throwback Week 2 seasons ago in Monza. The most dramatic race, most dramatic ending surely in JACKOCAR history. He'll be looking for a bit of an easier run today, but he is the race leader ahead of SD Matt and Casper. That's the top three. Iceman still sits fourth where he started, and Jess now right behind him in fifth, coming off that race win on Tuesday, looking to kick on and take a first Cup Series victory. She's ninth in the standings, so she is having a good run as well, so she has a right to be up there.
Imagine the scenes though if Jess makes playoffs in the Cup. That'd be most impressive. What an improved driver she is though. We shouldn't actually act surprised because with that EA back in, she's become a different person, hasn't she?
She's been given a reason to play the game a little bit more. A care package every now and then, you know.
Any more takers on the pit lane? Let's see. Yeah, we have Ben Harrott, by the way, making his third non-mandatory stop.
In just 6 laps. And well, just 5 laps, yeah.
And Jamie Wright making his fourth.
Yes, they're certainly giving the pit crews a lot to do. It's not really helping me not get confused though. So much going on, and at the same time nothing going on.
If it helps you, nobody has made a mandatory stop.
Yeah.
And also at the end of this lap there will be a stage point awarded. Jamie Griffiths in prime position for that one at the moment. Jamie coming into this with 0 playoff points into this race. So that'd be his first of the season.
I hope you've got the record books ready, because we must be on our way to most non-mandatories in a race already. This is extraordinary stuff.
I do believe it's around 28 from a single race.
Well, let's see if I can count it a little bit. I'd say we're on about 15, 16 as it stands, so we'll...
I'll save you the hassle. 4 add 3 is 7, then you got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 so far, and we're on lap 7. Just about a quarter of the way through.
And I'd imagine, well, I'd hope the safety car will be on this lap. Surely the likes of Jamie and Ben will have caught up by the time they maybe get to Chapel. And at that point, the safety car lights would tend to go off. So, because I want to get us back racing here, we're feeling a little bit in stalemate. We've been waiting so long to get the racing underway, and every time it does, someone crashes.
That is the only problem we do come across with safety car periods. Of course, cautions breed cautions. When you bunch the field up together, you end up running the risk of having another safety car right after. Sometimes, though, the game has been known to ignore the safety car in this lap, by the way, but it has been known to ignore crashes right after the safety car. It didn't appear to with Corey's crash, though. as Jamie will now get us underway. Jamie Griffiths, that is, one-time race winner. SD Matt's a zero-time race winner. And Casper with 5.
He had a properly poor start as well last time to Jamie. He sauntered straight off the road on traction. So SD Matt surely will be looking to take a little bit of advantage from that, but he's off. Jamie is away and he's into the lead and he's got a decent gap. He will not be under any pressure. Forever behind, we're nearly 3 wide. Jess, a bit of sleep on that restart, and Yuri into the top 5. Off the road goes MK Bourne. Can he keep himself up in 6th place? Right outside goes Pete. And he'll cut back on him because MK Bourne's gone off the road. Some good side-by-side battling, but be careful not to make contact. This is exactly what they've done. Gareth is going for the middle of all of them though. He's up into 7th place. And he's, like I say, still a Joker driver. He may not get the bonuses for winning the race if he does so, but he is in a very nice position. And look at all the fighting going on as we head through to the end of the first sector. That Wellington Straight packed with cars, as we see. 3 wide for there. And Jake, remember Jake? He's stuck in the middle of all this, having made a non-mandatory under the safety car. I wonder if he's regretting his decision yet, as he moves up into 13th place.
MK Bourne, by the way, had no right peeking his nose up the inside of Pete into turn 4. Lucky that Pete was able to control the slide and sort of damage limitation. He only dropped to P8. A little moment for Ben Harrett coming out of Cops, and through goes Jake into P11. What a move that was!
What a
unbelievable!
Move. That was incredible stuff.
Maybe he's heard the news his stop was non-mandatory, Owen.
Exactly, he's got the ground to make up, so he's got to get a move on. Brothers, swapping position, Leroy in front of Yuri.
And here comes OKK on Jess as well.
Can he get himself through? Jess with a tricky restart lap. SD Matt speeding into the pit lane. We've got all the top 4 in, and that's going to put Pete Knighton into the lead of the race at home. The Season 1 champion leading at Silverstone.
Jamie Griffiths did lead the end of lap 8 though. So yeah, Pete now resumes the race lead.
And Gareth only 1.2 seconds behind him. He must be feeling just a little bit more confident now with his position, because this is looking particularly good. As we see yellow flags. Oh, that might well be Kaya off again. And he's through the gravel trap. Should recover. Should be no need for a VSC or anything. There is no damage to the car. Could well just be overheated tyres. Maybe the tyre pressure is a little bit too high for here. And, well, that could be a tricky day now. He's using ERS on corner exit as well, so that probably doesn't help his case for spinning the car, but still in the top 8. Not the end of the world for him. Another safety car or 2, he'll still have a chance to get some good points, and of course you get points for finishing the race anyway, so even if you're having a tricky one, it's worth staying in the game.
I wonder what Pete Knighton's plans are. Race leader at Silverstone, 1 non-mandatory stop to his name. Gareth is the net race leader, of course, with 1 stop to make. But will Pete try and extend his lead and hope for no safety cars? It's good to see him leading the race again, isn't it? Catchman overtakes Gareth, or maybe not, because Gareth's going to stay on the inside. Wow! Almost. Pete, by the way, pits, and Jake will stay out.
What an unnecessary risk for Gareth to take, though. Maybe he doesn't realise that Jake's pit stop wasn't mandatory, but that is something you don't need to be doing. Let him go. You have got a whole pit stop on him.
Jake leads a lap 9, which means Pete didn't even lead a lap that. But what a move it was from Jake up the inside of Gareth. It's such a shame that he's got that non-mandatory stop to his name, isn't it?
And I hope he's aware of it. I really do hope he's aware of it, because it could cause issues in the stewards room later on when the wrong man crosses the line to win the race, etc, etc. But as it stands, he is leading, and he's going to have to make a lot of work, because, like I say, Gareth, I don't think he'll make a full pit stop on Gareth before the end of this race. And the thing is, Gareth has such a good gap to the other drivers who have pitted out there. He is in such a strong position, and that race win, he must be feeling confident about it. He must be.
Absolutely must be. Well, when you go back to back at Saudi, it gives you all the confidence in the world at Silverstone. Ben Harrett with 3 non-mandatory stops is running P3. Connor up to 4th and Casper P5.
So let's see. We've got SD Mats, who's sped into the pit lane. He's also been done by Casper, who's a decent way up the road. So Casper, I suppose, will end up being the main sort of contender to try and beat Gareth if we get another safety car later on or something like that. Because with Jake taking 2 sets of softs, he may end up, well, he'll have to pit twice anyway, but the thing is, Maybe his softs will be in okay shape, but I think we definitely would imagine Casper, when he makes his next stop, will be softs all the way to the end. So there will at least be one stint where he has a decent advantage over him on lighter fuel. So I'd say Casper would be, as he nearly loses it for Stowe, the main contender if we get more safety cars to stop Gareth from winning his home race.
And that's Casper finding himself in a race-winning position yet again, isn't it? As Pete gets past Ben, who pits. A few pitters actually at the moment.
Indeed. I think have we got everyone. I think Kaya was the only one who hadn't actually made any stop of any kind, but he's now in the pits. So I'm glad you're the one doing the numbers on these pit stops, because it is quite a confusing sight to look at.
Don't worry, I got it. Kieran's fastest lap of 30.9. That will definitely come down, unless it suddenly rains. Iceman, Kaya, Leroy and Jamie Wright all in the pit lane at the moment. Jamie Griffiths up to 16th.
Jamie, well, how many stops is that? 6 stops in 11 laps. This is, once again approaching the record books, this one. And we still think 9 is the all-time JACKOCAR record. And that was in a wet Monaco, I believe. Or, maybe, well, it was in Monaco anyway. That was Pete Knighton who did it. But Jamie, he's just having such awful luck tonight. And, I suppose, again, waiting for that safety car to come out. I respect you for keeping on going, though. 6 pit stops in, you'd be losing your mind a little bit.
Yeah, 6 pit stops in, but strategy complete, which is why he's on the hards.
Yeah, I suppose there's that as well, but the issue is, of course, the hards won't be all that good against loose softs and mediums and stuff, but I suppose one more safety car, free stop, then it puts him back in the game. So
the thing is, as long as he's not lapped and he stays on the lead lap, he'll be alright, because he'll catch up to the safety car, and assuming there is one, and that puts him back in contention again.
So, SD Matt, fastest lap of the race, all over the back of Casper. He's got that 5-second penalty to deal with later on, but he doesn't have to worry about it at the moment, as he have a yellow flag for Kaya. Went off in qualifying in that section of the track with Marcus Beckett's, and he's done it again by the looks of it. Loses the position to Leroy. And let's see how SD Matt can do on the DRS. Good to see the pace is real from him. That penalty will be playing on his mind a little bit, but if he can get by Casper in a relatively decent amount of time, he's saving ARS on that back straight as well, so he knows exactly what he's doing. He could still be on for a pretty good result tonight, and even if he doesn't win a race in the early stage of the season, I'd argue, as NK Bourne went off for a spin at turn 3, I'd argue that he's already surely as good as in the playoffs at this stage if he can keep another podium today.
He may as well be top 5s in the first 4 races, 2 visits to the podium. He's having a cracking season. He almost had pole earlier on as well, but certainly he is the driver at the moment, isn't he? He's the form man. I dare say more so than Ben Shaw as well, who's having a nightmare race down in P13, but they are 2 mandatory stops, and here comes Esty down the inside of Casper at Stowe, and that was very easy looking, wasn't it? As corner pits.
I don't know how many times in JACKOCAR we've seen the points leader not actually be a playoff driver, if that makes sense. We've already got 4 advanced, but SD Matt, at the rate he's going, he could become the general points leader. So, he really is having a good run.
If it finished like this, he would indeed be the points leader. At the moment, it is Ben Shaw, who has a +6 gap, but there is more than 6 positions between them on track at the moment. Of course, SD Matt's with a pit stop to make.
So then Jake, 3.5 seconds clear of Gareth, but you can see 18.7 seconds. That's what these guys are going to have to make up on Gareth if there's no safety car in what is now, of course, the second half of this race. We'll be getting another playoff point at the end of this one for Jake. But this, I don't want to jinx him, like I say, but ever since France last season, we saw the potential in Gareth, and we saw him so unlucky not to get further on in the playoffs. He had a really decent run, I think, actually, for the struggles he maybe had in pace. He wasn't the quickest driver, but he always could find a way through as MK1 recovers from another mistake. But now, if he can get the win on that board, Gareth, it really could be a properly good season for him. And you know what? He deserves it as well with this livery. I'm loving the British Grace and Grain here at Silverstone. It's so fitting.
He really does. He's come up through the JACKOCAR ranks pretty quick as well. He had a season in Kia Series, 1 race win and another race win, which he lost through a penalty. Went straight into the Championship 5. I think he finished 3rd in that. Promoted straight into Cup. We had one podium last season. He's had another one this season already, and is now the Kia Series full-time commentator. But he's really joined JACKOCAR, and he bleeds it now, doesn't he? He is one of our own almost. Absolutely loving it is Gareth Hall, and as you say, Owen deserves every bit of success that he has. A lovely livery too, I will give him that.
Only sort of downside is if he has a continually good season, we'll lose him in our commentary box for our Challenger 5, because he may be the driver out there participating in it, but don't worry about that in 13 weeks' time. As through Copsy goes, you will have also noticed that ST Matt has completed his pit stops now, and he is going to be on his way to the end of the race on a set of medium compound tyres. He's in relatively clear air as well for that outlap, so yeah, let's see what he can do.
And Owen, you will have also noticed or missed, if your name is Jacko or Owen, that Jake O'Sullivan, race leader, has won stage 2. That was the end of lap 13.
Excuse me, I on lap 13 mentioned the point. I said I was on board with him when I was talking about it. Man puts his name on the league, doesn't even pay attention to his employees. Unbelievable. But he's in the pits now. We can definitely notice that one. And that now puts Gareth in the official race lead. And it is another set of softs then for Jake. I swear he's been on softs the whole race. I'm going to check that. Maybe I'm misremembering, because I'm sitting there thinking he's been on sauce the whole race, so that definitely means he's fully aware of his illegal pit stop, which is good to know, because we're worried about that one.
I must admit, I did message the ART chat to say his stop was not mandatory.
Because it creates a lot of confusion,
worse than seeing a driver get disqualified through something so simple, especially if they were to have a good race and be on the podium or whatnot. But yeah, it does create a bit of confusion. OKK and Ben Harrett also in the pits at the moment. Ben Harrett seems to have set up his home there, along with Jamie Wright. The 11 stops between them, 15 laps in.
Giving the pit crews a decent amount of work to do at least, but yeah, not the ideal races for them. MK Bourne's back into the pits now. He's been off for a few spins in the last couple of laps. And it's a shame to see him sort of struggling at this, because he had a really decent start to the season. He had that really good race in Australia as well. So we know that the speed's there for him, but only 16th in the championship, and another tricky race. And yellow flags in front of him. It's for a black liveried car. It's OKK. And that is a set of medium tyres, all messed up. He may fancy another pit stop after that. No, I remember Jamie Griffiths. We sort of forgot about him for a little bit, because the likes of Casper and Jake and all that are well clear of him now. He's currently stuck behind a Connor and just cannot get his way through. He's lifting off everywhere because he wants to catch him at the right point, get the DRS off of him, and try not being put under pressure by Iceman. But surely he'll get through now into what is currently 7th place on the road.
Yep, there it is. Easy enough. Connor will try and stay on the inside, but it looks like job done for the Welshman.
Impressive stuff as well, because Connor's on newer, softer tyres.
Yeah.
Not an easy move to make.
And Iceman, by the way, just struggling. I don't know if you saw that going in the club corner, bit of a lock-up. Not a good day for the points leader.
And let's say that'll be music to ST Matt's ears as he closes in on him. And like I say, certainly looking at taking over that points lead today if he can. Like I say, it can't be very often we see a non-advanced driver this far into a season be the points leader, but that's where ST Matt may well find himself. Will Connor be able to fight back against Jamie? I don't think so, so hopefully Iceman can get himself involved, because Jamie, I'd imagine, will drive away with more ERS and seemingly more confidence in the car in general. Now, the gap at the top. I remember earlier on we were saying about ST Matt's gap, and he was a little bit sort of behind Casper in the running, so it was about 18.7 then. It's now gone down to 14.5. Obviously, newer tyres help him with that, but Casper's pace is okay. If Gareth ends up getting any sort of penalties and the like, that's where perhaps the chance will arrive. And of course, very old tyres at the end of the race as well for Gareth is what he's going to have to worry about. So it looks cut and dry, but it certainly isn't. And Casper obviously had to pit again. Has Pete made all his mandatories, or has he also got another one to make? So
I'll run you through the top 3. Pete has done 1 mandatory, as has Casper, and Gareth also has to make 1 stop as well, because his stop at the moment is non-mandatory. You may remember from lap 1 or 2.
That's a Kaya into the wall. That's a broken front wing. Could be a safety car.
It
Not
is.
entirely sure what it is. Is it a safety car? Wow.
It is a safety car.
Well. That does throw us up in the air a little bit, because SD Mats, we're looking at him, we were saying about him earlier on, he has finished his pit stop strategy, so we must be looking at this thinking he's in decent shape now.
Jamie Wright makes his 5th non-mandatory. Ben Howard also making his 4th. Don't worry, I am keeping track of the numbers, don't you worry.
Good. I think once everyone's made their pit stop, we're going to do a full rundown of the grid again.
Yeah.
Keep me right, please. But yeah, this is, I guess this is bad news for Gareth, because obviously the pit stop he made was under the safety car before, so he can't take a mandatory now. And like I say, that's where SD Mats will have the advantage. And well, he set the fastest lap earlier on in the race when he was chasing others, so I could imagine it'll be one of the 2, Gareth or SD, and we said it right at the top of the show today. It'll be one of these 2 perhaps who could be looking at a race victory. And well, the further we get on with this race, the more potentially likely that could be. But let's see how it all pans out. Casper's elected to take a pit stop under the safety car, which is an interesting strategy considering he hasn't finished his mandatory strategy yet, so that is only going to put him further down the field. There are only 8 laps to go of this race, so
and there's
a very odd decision to go on hards as well. I'm not entirely sure what the plan is here for Casper, because that would suggest obviously he'll have to pit again, but he will have to do, I guess, 1 racing lap on hards, which is very odd, because there's no point pitting again under the safety car. That really will just mess you up. So, yeah, questioning that strategy from Casper.
I will in a second though and run you through all the numbers. At the moment there's a lot of them to work out. OKK goes round, Kieran makes another stop.
So many stops, let's say, that are non-mandatory. We must be hitting the record number tonight.
I think we're there, to be honest.
Been a very odd race, actually. We've seen a lot of sort of randomness happening, and I still feel there's never a shock coming our way at some point. We're looking at 2 drivers, the 2 main drivers I would have said who were in contention, being winners at no point in their JACKOCAR history. So and it's always nice seeing Peter out there at the front. Shame he hasn't finished his pit strategy yet, but yeah, it feels just like we're going to see a bit of an odd result today.
16 drivers have made non-mandatory pit stops today.
Jeez. And how many are yet to finish their strategy? That's the more interesting question. Because I reckon well, let's see.
I will run that down for you. Gareth has 1 to go. Pete Knighton has 1 to go, as does Jake, as does Casper. Connor is yet to make both mandatory stops.
Oh dear.
Iceman is strategy complete for him. SD Mats is strategy complete. Yori has 1 to go. OKK is complete. Jamie Griffiths is complete. Jess has 1 to go. Leroy is complete. Jamie Wright is complete, as is Ben Harrett, as is Kieran. MK Bourne is also complete, and Kaya has 1 stop to go. And
he's
also
also
goes
off the track, yes.
Yeah.
He's still got his ERS on, look. It's a weird driving style for him, but okay. We'll let him do his own thing. The big thing for me in that, then, is that OKK is sitting pretty much in net 3rd place with the best tyres out of those 3, Iceman, SD and himself. So, I mean, he might be feeling a little bit optimistic. He doesn't put it in the wall again. And remember, the only reason he made that other stop is because he was in the wall moments ago. So, he is looking pretty good all of a sudden.
Who's that? Sorry, I was just looking at some numbers.
Okay. I mean, he was right at the back earlier on as well. He's had a real topsy-turvy afternoon.
Net P3, and by the way, just a reminder to all that when this gets going again, you cannot follow the safety car in. You can, but it will be classed as a non-mandatory stop, so they have to do a full racing lap before they can make a mandatory stop. And I imagine pit road is going to be very, very busy when we get going. So people like OKK, ST, and Iceman are going to have a lovely bit of clear track, and they're all going to be fighting for the win.
And that safety car is not coming in this lap because half the field haven't caught up to it yet. And so we're going to have 6 laps at the end here of a lot going on. We tend not to see this many drivers yet to finish a mandatory pit stop strategy at this stage in a race. This is going to flip on its head completely.
And imagine as well if we get a late safety
one,
car.
yeah, another one. We could see some serious problems for these guys.
The ruling is if a safety car comes in so late and you haven't completed your mandatory stop, you can follow it in right at the end if it's like a lap to go, and that will count as mandatory, even if it is technically non-mandatory.
We are
J-Luke and
number 8 and number 7 respectively. These two are giving their pit crews an absolute nightmare. It's a good thing they aren't teammates.
Yeah, imagine the stacking.
But yes, Jamie on a set of softs now to the end of the race. And they can't be new tyres at this stage, surely. Whatever he's got on. No, how has Jamie got a new set of soft tyres? How is he managing that? 8 stops in, he's still pulling out new tyres. And it's going to mean that more drivers are still trying to catch the train. Mainly Kaya, who hasn't even got to the end of the lap yet. That's how far behind he is, because he's got the ERS still on. I wouldn't be surprised if he's been off track another few times. Look at him. This is gonna hold us back another lap potentially. Someone needs to tell him to turn the ERS off. Very odd.
If you're wondering about most laps led, Jamie Griffiths has 4, Jake O'Sullivan has 9, and Gareth so far has 6. So Jake, providing Gareth doesn't lead any more laps, Jake is on his way to the most laps led point. Of course, if they both end up with 9 laps led or the same amount, regardless, that playoff point will be shared. They'll get 1 each.
Right then, let's see. The safety car is already through Chapel. We were following Kaya around just to give you an idea how far behind he is, and well, he's going to be left there because the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap, and we are getting ready for a frantic last 6 laps. So many drivers yet to finish their pit stop strategies, including everyone in the top 5. We could see a lot of drama, and you know what, Gareth as well, the race leader, on by far the oldest tyres, and so he could have quite the attack to defend and a very difficult restart in a traction sensitive zone. So let's see.
Here we go, Owen. Strap in, everyone.
Yeah, this is
JACKOCAR at its finest is on its way.
We've waited 20 laps for this to really blow up, and Gareth is going as slow as possible. Look at him holding the train up there, nearly crashing back there. But Gareth is away, and it's such a slow restart for the rest of the grid. He did perfectly there. As we see, ST Matt's already putting a car in between himself and Iceman, with Yuri overtaking. Have they all made it through turn 1? Yes, they have, but look at Jake. He's already trying to attack, but he's got to be aware of Casper, who's dancing around the outside of him on the hard compound tyres, which I'm sure he'll be taking off straight away at the end of this lap. I can't believe he put them on. As we watch Jake heading through. No DRS until
Yuri's flying, by the way. Look at Yuri.
Yuri is indeed flying. He's alongside and in front of Connor. Let's see if he can get the move completed nice and cleanly. Yes, he can, making use of the freshest tyres out there.
Oh,
one of the front runners, and Connor's gone off. Connor is off in the purple machine, and a lot of side-by-side stuff going on. OKK and Jamie going for it. This is for track position, this is, and Jamie really trying to force his way through, but no room to get past OKK, who is staring at a podium position as it stands. He's doing well. Now, Pete is all over the back of Gareth. Can he take the race lead on track? He'll be probably desperate, I would imagine, to get himself into the pits as the lead car to avoid any sort of issues with the guy ahead maybe slowing down a bit earlier than you'd expect, etc, etc. So I have a feeling they're going to fight for this as Kaya goes off the road once again. Pete to the outside of Stowe. Can he make it work? He'll try and switch it back, but there's just nowhere to go. Really nice defending from Gareth, who's surely going to go straight for the pits, as is the rest of the top 5, which puts Iceman, who's had such a tricky day so far, into the lead, but with a penalty, which means OKK, the man who won the first ever JACKOCAR race, might win number 88. Could you imagine? He's got 5 laps to hold on.
was just counting there. Iceman, leader of lap 21. We've got, what's that, 7 cars in the pit lane, but OKK sniffing his 3rd race win and a place in the playoffs. What about Jamie Griffiths? He's the previous race winner. Leroy and ST Mats behind him. J-Luke with 8 pit stops to his name. There's P5 on the road. Is he in contention for this? We've got 5 to go here at Silverstone.
Here goes Jamie, contact there with OKK, but he's got through. And he is now the man to be looking at. Can he take his 2nd victory in JACKOCAR?
Clever, what am I trying to say? Ben's a very clever thinker when it comes to this sort of thing. He will know that Jamie Griffiths or OKK in the playoffs would only benefit somebody like himself. Maybe we might see what we saw on Tuesday night where the race leader gives up the win. That was Jamie Bromley on that occasion, letting Jess through. Will Ben Shaw go for glory?
OKK's coming back.
Or will we see Ben on the top step? There's a lot to happen just yet, and J-Luke and ST Mats are on the back of this train still. OKK sits 3rd for now, but Ben is not pulling away as expected. He is over 1 second though.
This has a very sort of Saudi Arabia feel about it from last season, where you're waiting for the sabotage to happen. I'm sure Iceman will be happy to sort of let these guys go, but another safety car at this stage of the game will give us a last lap shooter. Is that a full safety car, Jacko?
ST Mats is out!
ST Mats is gone! But where is he? What happened to him?
Turn 1.
Turn 1? What's he doing at turn 1?
I have no view at the moment.
That is a very strange accident for him. I am a bit confused as to how he's ended up there of all places, but ST Mats under safety car as he hit someone. What a dramatic way to lose it. We're not going to see where his car even ended up. It's already despawned. Ben Spurs has cut a corner and been disqualified for gaining a position while doing so. What a strange situation. I don't really know what happened there, but what it's going to do, I don't think the safety car will ever stay longer than lap 27. It'll always give us 2 laps of racing at the end.
It'll come in at 24, won't it?
Yeah, so we're only going to have 2 laps of this. I hope the whole field will be able to catch up to the safety car, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, lots of confusion with that last one, because we didn't really see what happened.
I tell you what though, Owen, it's a dream for Pete Knight and down. So everyone from 8th down, they are still in contention to win this race.
Jamie Wright, though, he's potentially going to finish on the podium here with 8 pit stops to his name.
Iceman pits!
Iceman in the pits! I don't understand that, because he's going to throw away surely more points than he would gain. Oh, the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap as well. So, I think we're racing, Jacko. We are racing.
Are we racing?
Well, Jamie has put the foot down, but he's now put his foot back off, but I'm very intrigued as to see what's happening here. Maybe they've had their deltas taken off, but now we're having more issues with black flags. The safety car's in the pits, look. It's coming in. So are we racing or are we not? I'm so confused to what's happening. Well, Pete is in Narnia. I think we are racing, but it's hard to tell. What a bizarre situation. Let's ride on board with Jamie, who's the race leader. I think we're racing. Yeah, we're racing.
We're racing.
So, Leroy then will be on the back of OKK. Iceman will be feeling absolutely robbed. He never even saw the safety car before it came into the pits. How weird.
Well, I have never seen anything like this. But Jamie Griffiths is staring at a second race win as it stands, unless OKK can do something about that gap with 2 laps to go. Gareth, by the way, has recovered to P6. We see Yori got disqualified, and Ben Harrop, by the way, was disqualified for overtaking the safety car.
Yeah, that's unfair, isn't it?
Yeah, Pete's having a spin, or is it Connor? It's Connor.
Connor. Well, 2 to go. And Jamie is being caught up. He's being caught up. That was about 2 seconds, that gap, according to the game before. Now it's a second. And OKK, no DRS for him. Oh no, ooh, maybe we will actually. Because the way that safety car worked, perhaps the odd timing of it all might give DRS on the last lap. So we'll keep our eye on that. But yeah, can OKK pull off a miracle, let's be honest. Just on those tyres, it would be a miracle. There's no sort of slight on his skill, but I just don't know. I don't see him doing it. But let's see. I tell you what, though, Leroy with that penalty, he's still going to finish quite high up. And remember, he was the guy who was in the gravel trap in turn 1. He's going to end up on the podium, or he's going to end up 4th place. Sorry, Jamie on 8 stops is going to end up on the podium. But yeah,
amazing. OKK is inside DRS, by the way, now.
If we get it, of course. Is that a VSC now? What's happened here? We've got all sections are yellowed. Are we under VSC? I'm not entirely sure. No, we're all green, so ignore the graphics. I'm not entirely sure what's happening there. I know what's happening. There's another car off. K is off at the point between sector 1 and 2. That explains that. Jamie up into 3rd on track now. He's got a lap to make something happen here on the best tyres. But OKK is catching a race leader.
He used those yellow flags to his advantage because it's now down to half a second as we have 1 lap to go here in Silverstone. Then Jamie Griffiths versus Michael OKK. Only 3 race wins between them. Owen Wyatt, what are we going to see next?
I don't think we're going to see DRS. I didn't see any pop-up for DRS. So if we do not get it, it'll be OKK having to do it on the old-fashioned route. Will he possibly be able to have a chance at any point on this lap, though? As you can see, the DRS is not opening, but he is still the faster driver. Can he find a point? Perhaps, say, Stowe or Club. Can he find an opportunity? As we see Iceman and Jake fight. Oh, wow! Big accident between Jake and MK Bourne. And that was all to do with a fight with Iceman, who was able to get away from all that. But another 2 cars then, out of this race, as we head on to the final lap for everyone else. Kaya still on lap 24. He may not overtake them, so I think he'll only finish 13th. But here comes Jamie, still leading from the medium shod OKK, who's done a phenomenal job to stay this close. And if there were DRS, he'd be all over him. He may be all over him anyway, because it's a big slide for Jamie. Who's got a straight line speed? They've both got the same amount of VRS. And if anyone wants to make a move, it'll be so risky, because remember, these two don't get results of this too often. But as we head towards Club, they're both off the road, and Roy on the outside tries OKK. They're nearly wheel binding. Has he got the commitment? He has got the commitment, but he's also lost the rear end. Look out for Jamie. He may be able to get through, but no, it's the 2 Jamies who finish 1-2. How's that happened? Absolutely crazy end to this race once again in JACKOCAR. And do you know what? OKK, he gave it his all there. You've got to give him credit for it. He'll finish P5 for it, and it was all fair racing. Just a little wheel bind and it undid all the hard work. Jamie had to scamper off the road. I don't imagine anyone's going to have him under investigation for it, but it is Jamie Griffiths winning his 2nd race in JACKOCAR, and the 5th different driver in 5 races to see the checkered flag first this season. What a season we're having. And it is Jamie Wright. Right place, right time, always. And he's done it once again. 2nd place from 8 pit stops. And Leroy, in the gravel on that one, finishes in 3rd place. This is JACKOCAR, man. Always. Always with the shock results.
That's Leroy's 2nd podium in Cup as well, but you have to credit OKK. You are allowed to drive so much harder on the last lap, and he saw the win, didn't he? So, and you know, at Codemasters Contact, it's either going to be you're going to spin or the other guy's going to spin. And I must admit, I don't know anybody who wouldn't have done what OKK did. You know, it was balls deep, wasn't it? Go hard, go hard, go home. That kind of attitude. Top 5 for him. I mean, it's not a bad result at all, but the win was on. But it is Jamie Griffiths, 5 from 5, winning at home. What a night!
It is a fantastic result, that one. And well, he is one of the drivers we'd mentioned before, and at least one of the drivers who we didn't expect to win has won, and it, like I say, puts him into the playoffs. And, well, he never quite made it there last season. He had to try and get through the Championship 5 via the chase and missed out by only a couple of points to the eventual champion in the end, of course, who was Jake. And so he hasn't got to worry about that. He's got to go the playoff route this season with race victory at Silverstone, followed by the other Jamie, J-Luke. The 2 Jamies, 1-2. probably for the first time, I can't remember it happening at any other point, 8 stops to the 2-time champion's name. He always does it the hard way. Leroy in 3rd, with Kieran 4th, OKK 5th, Gareth 6th on his Joker, Iceman 7th, Pete 8th, Casper 9th, Jess 10th. Kaya did overtake Jake and MK Bourne's cars despite being a couple of laps down in the end, and that's where the retirement start. Jake, MK Bourne, Connor, Yuri, ST Mats, Corey, Jordan, Tees and Ben Spurgeon got disqualified for overtaking the safety car. I wonder if he may have a case to get his points reinstated for that one, because it feels a bit unfair considering the safety car was having a mare at the time. But that is where we stand then. 5 drivers winning races this season. You absolutely love to see it.
The only thing right now that's baffling me is, what did Iceman know at the time of that last stop?
I think he knew no less than us.
Gave up a race win, is what it looks like.
The safety car announced it was coming in when it was coming on to the Heiner Straight. And by that point, I mean, well, Iceman was in the pit lane, so he was nowhere near catching it. And for some reason, it just pulled into the pits without letting anyone catch up. We were on board with Jamie, I think, when the penny dropped, and suddenly the yellow flags had been put in, and we were racing. So I don't think there was anything Iceman could have done about it. I feel he's been quite hard done by there. But that's just the way it goes sometimes. He still ends up finishing 7th place, still ends up, I think, the points leader. So I suppose not the end of the world for him.
Not at all. We've certainly got ourselves a championship on our hands, haven't we? We are now halfway through the regular season. Coming up over the next 5 weeks, we have Spain, San Marino, Sakir, Spa and Spielberg, all beginning with Veselak, as we have the run-in for the regular season championship. And then it is the 6 playoff races and a championship 5 to go. At the moment, we're on for a new winner every single race. I'd love to see it happen.
That would be fantastic. And you know what, at this rate, I can definitely see it coming. We've had some real shock results so far. And you know what, we saw Christian Atara once again proving he can do it, but it's just not working out for him. We'll definitely see more unique winners. It could well be a record-breaking season here at JACKOCAR, but we will end that one here tonight. So, hope you have all enjoyed watching. Sorry about all the delays earlier on, but we got there in the end and we got a fantastic finish. One that'll be replayed time after time after time. And once again for Jamie, it's a dramatic way to win a race side by side in the final corner. There's no other way he knows how to win. Can he do it again next week in Spain? Tune in at 7 PM next Thursday to find out. So thank you for watching and safe travels.